let us start, because I think it shouldn't take too long, and I will make it a little bit more flexible with regards to the participants. If you compare this chart, and I'm sure you know the chart from the last presentation in all details, and you compare it in details, you might realize that we had a little bit of a new, we created a little bit a new order of our strategic approach. In the board meeting, we had a board meeting, a 2-day board meeting, a 2 half-day board meeting, and we will finalize the board meeting in a face-to-face meeting we will have at the beginning of June. So it's a sort of, I don't know, hybrid, whatever, strategic board meeting, and it's a meeting that goes over 2 months. But we started to reorganize the strategic discussion a little bit, and we defined 3 pillars. One is a pillar that we called ethic and standards. The other one is knowledge development and sharing, and the third one is representation. And I will organize a little bit my input for today around these 3 pillars, and it is work in progress. We did not make the final definitions, and we didn't define the final tasks and how to implement everything, but that is the way how we think in our strategy meeting by the beginning of June. Sorry for that. I don't know. Here we are. Ethics and standard, I don't think I need to explain in detail, because that's all about what is actually our core business and what we are doing, which is the most mature part of our strategy implementation. It is about the CMC designation, of course, as the core product of ICMCI. It's about the competence framework and so on, and that is what we do more or less on a daily basis. It's our competence framework, and yeah, there's nothing very new about to discuss, but I want to mention something that is coming up with the ISO 20700 standard. There is it is called a systematic review process. That is a usual procedure that is started by ISO, and maybe you have heard about from your national standardization body, maybe not, but this is why I am addressing it. They do it 5 years after publishing the standard. So we published the standard in 2017. Now we have 2022, and that is exactly 5 years. We published it on the International Consultants Day by beginning of June in 2017. So the ISO organization sent out a sort of questionnaire, or 3 questions to the national standardization bodies, and asking them 3 questions. One is the question, shall the standard be withdrawn because it might be that it is not relevant for the industry anymore, or the industry doesn't exist, or whatever. That is a standard question. They ask every 5 years to avoid that they maintain standards which are not applicable anymore and which are not relevant anymore. The second question is, shall the standard be revised? So shall there be any changes, and what would be the changes that should be discussed, and what would be the reasons to do so? And that is in a manner of improving the standard. And we have some experience with the standard because of our trainings and our different activities. So we could come up with new ideas to improve the standard. And the second question is, shall the standard remain unchanged? So leave it as it is. Now, of course, it's up to you. It's up to the national organization, to the national standardization bodies to decide that. And we could have different views on that. One view would be, okay, let's take the chance and let's improve the standard with regards to wording and other editing issues. Of course, you always find something that is not perfect written, and that could be discussed. I personally have some ideas, more in the direction of reorder the table of content and put a very strong focus on the three policies, on the three stages and the 12 policies, because that's, from some perspective, that might be a little bit hidden. And the other view we can have is, no, we don't do anything with the standard, because we will be asked in 5 years again, and the standard and all the promulgation of the standard and the knowledge about the standard will be much better in 5 years. And then let's make a little bit a bigger discussion and discuss within 5 years how to proceed with the standard. Both views are good. Both views are correct from a technical point, and we don't have to have a common opinion on that. But what we should have as ICMCI, we should be in touch with the national organization, with the national standardization bodies, and approach them and ask them, did you get this, and what can we do to discuss it? I think the timeline is somewhere in August, or maybe even in September, I don't know, but we do have a couple of months to think about it. But if we don't start now, it might be very close, and the time is running so fast that if we start discussing that in August, it might be not a very fruitful discussion. So this is why I'm raising it now. I don't know, maybe we can discuss it now, and that's something I would like to learn more about, your opinion and your experience. And what can we do to convince as many IMCs as possible to be part of this discussion, because that's our standard, it's the standard of the industry. And if we do not have this discussion, maybe somebody else will have, and maybe somebody else will raise the hand and say, I don't know, there's no need for this standard, and why don't we withdraw it? And that's something we should avoid. Maybe it's a topic for the hub meetings. I'm looking in the camera of Lydia, or on the screen of Lydia, and maybe it's a little bit more to have a very open discussion. And my focus is, we need to keep pushing, and we need to be updated by the national organization bodies. So okay, we have time to discuss, and I'm happy to hear about your comments.
Okay, thank you so much, Robert, for your detailed sort of explanation. In view of what you have said, my take will be, in order for ICMCI to arrive at a final decision as to where we go from here, what will be the answer be, I think it's good to get all the IMCs, if possible, to have a discussion. I think mostly, am I right, Rima? By now, I think more than 3/4 of IMC has got trainers. Am I right to assume this? More than 3/4. Robert was my teacher. Nick was my teacher. Both of you were my teacher. But by now, do you think we have at least more than half IMCS who have been trained? Those who have not been trained, I guess they cannot comment because they have not been trained. But those who have been trained, perhaps we should get them, we should all get together and discuss about our experience. What do you think? Robert and Nick, who are the gurus of ISO 2700.
If I could make one comment to start with, I think that ISO 20700 will actually receive more impetus in the IMCs later this year as the IMCs are assessed against the new competence framework and code of conduct, which are very heavily emphasize ethics and standards. So I think that is going to, if you like, force member IMCs to take notice of and to build into their governance ISO 20700. That in turn may encourage IMCs to get more people trained. So perhaps a campaign about training to coincide with the date when the new competence framework and the code of conduct become enforced, which I think is later this year, maybe in October, could be the ideal time to make another big push.
Okay, Nick, can you clarify when you say the new competency framework towards the end of this year, right?
Okay.
Did I hear you correctly?
Yeah, we published the new competence framework, the updated competence framework and code of conduct at the annual meeting last October.
Okay.
But we gave IMCs 1 year to implement them in their institutes.
All right. Okay. I think most of us would have some form or other, but whether we are in total compliance with the new competency framework, I think that we have to, I guess all the IMC have to look through to what extent they have complied. But all of us, IMC has up to October 2022 to comply, correct? Okay. Sorry, Rima.
I want to let you know something, Lydia. Yeah. On the same page where we have our competency framework, we have the current version that everyone already complies with. And also towards the end of the page, you will find that we added the new competency framework and advised of the date. Now, till then, the Professional Standards Committee and the Quality Assurance Committee will be preparing some sort of a plan in order to assure that all IMCs are aware of the fact that they need to comply by October, number one. Number two, they will provide them with means of kind of assessing their current versus the new in order to know where the changes should take place. Am I right, Nick? Some sort of mapping.
Yeah, actually, as you were speaking, Rima, I just had a thought that from the QAC, I think we should perhaps send a notice to all the IMCs, reminding them about that. And of course, reminding them that from October, any IMC which is assessed for compliance from October will be expected to comply with the new framework and the new code of conduct. And there are some IMCs whose triennial assessment is due later this year. So I think.
I think, Nick, that's an excellent idea.
I think I will send out a notice in the next week with that information. And hopefully that will stimulate more activity as well.
Yes, please, because I think that will also give them a bit of lead time to prepare themselves. If they have not done anything about it, at least they can look into it. As a matter of curiosity, are we talking, I noticed in the Consultants Day, International Consultants Day, on the 2nd of June, Celia is giving a talk on competency. Is it related?
Yes,
Celia
Jalal will be talking about the new competencies that are included in the new competency framework.
So he'll be
So he
talking
will
on
be stressing on the new items or the new aspects that were added to it, which makes it different from the previous one.
I see. So which means it's actually very timely, right? The June.
Yes, that's why we included it, correct.
Yeah, to sort of inform everyone to create their awareness so that they can be more prepared. And I think Nick's proposal is excellent. The more we remind our IMC, the better, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Just to add a couple of things. First of all, I think we have almost every IMC has a trainer.
Excellent.
Almost. But I'm not sure if this is still valid, but that is my last remembering about that. But a little bit the bigger picture, we always discussed keeping the balance between promoting the standard and enabling the clients to work with the standard. Because if you would promote the standard and the clients ask the consultants and the consultants answer, I've never heard about the standard, then that would be a very bad situation. So we said, first we need to train and to enable to work with the standard, and then we can start active promotion of the standard. And this training and enabling side, I think it's getting better and better. But we still didn't promote the standard to actively promote it to the clients or clients' organizations. But there's already client organizations that are asking consultants, like we had a couple of weeks ago, a question from a consultant who is in a country that is a member of ICMCI, but not actively promoting the standard. And so they sent this consultant to me and to Rima, and because they are a client organization that is a development donoring organization somewhere in Africa. And they said, you need to apply to the standard. And therefore she asked her institute, and they said, might be, but we are not active with regards to the standard. Please contact ICMCI. So the standard is more and more better known, and we do it on the level of international organizations. We can promote that a little bit more intensive, and I will report a little bit later about our activities to UNIDO. But we always have to keep an eye on have a good balance between promoting and enabling. That's, I think, it's a little bit a delicate task. But nevertheless, this process started by ISO is a good chance to discuss about the standard again and define people in the IMCs. Could you please approach your national organization body and ask them? And therefore, this person needs to read the standard and needs to be informed about the standard. Your proposal, leader, to have a discussion with the trainers, that might be a very good idea. We had a discussion with the trainers, this experience sharing, and that was very good. We had very positive feedback, and the attendance was, I think, almost everybody from the trained trainers were attending. We could do that again. It might be necessary to do that before summer, so that might be a little bit tough to organize everything but why not? And I would leave it to PSC to discuss it. It might be a good chance to get in touch with the trainers again and to discuss our common opinion or our proposal for a common opinion of ICMCI, how to proceed with this process started by ISO.
Yeah, nice approach forward. Thank you.
Okay, now the next thing, I would like to address is, well, that's the first pillar, ethics and standard. The second pillar is knowledge development and sharing. That's quite new for us. Well, it's not very new because we always did it, but we didn't make it in a structured and in a very strategic approach. We started to do that more frequently because of the pandemic situation. We held some webinars, and I think it's a good time to make this a little bit more intensive, and to think about how can we integrate these activities and find synergies with activities that are done by our member institutes. Because what we need to avoid is that we are doing the same like our members, then we would be competing our members. And I don't think that is a good approach. I think the best way is to have a common understanding what is the knowledge development and sharing on a global level. This is our task as ICMCI, and what is it on a national or on a regional level. That is the task of our member institutes. And this is where we need to discuss we will discuss in our board meeting and align it, and then we will present it and discuss it with the member institutes. And because best is the member institutes benefit a lot from our activities. This is a little bit different from the mature institutes who have other needs than the smaller institutes. But that is something we need to be very careful, and we will discuss that in our meeting in June. We have, I want to mention it's that covers also the not only the future leaders and future of consulting, but also the annual conference, the academic fellows. They are all elaborating on the development of the industry. By now we have something like 100+ members in the academic fellows, and this community is still growing, and we get the feedback on the global level that this is it is a benefit for the academics, and they want to join, and that's good for us as an industry. As I mentioned already, this future of I think everybody of you knows. I don't need to repeat it again. And the third pillar is what we call representation. That includes marketing, of course, but it also includes representing the industry on the global level. It's the same issue like before. It's we as ICMCI, we represent the industry on the global level. Our partners are organizations like EBRD or UNIDO or any other global organization that are happy to partner with us. What we did not do in the past is to have it also as structured and as consequent as it should be. But as we are growing as an organization and we are getting more and more professional, I think we need to discuss about this too. That includes, as I mentioned already, the marketing part. And again, we don't want to compete our members by sending out newsletters to every consultant in the world, and maybe the content of the newsletter contradicts another newsletter sent out by an IMC, and then the consultant sits in between and says, so what is the community telling me? Is it the left or is it the right side? And therefore, I'm thinking about setting up a more concrete planning of our marketing activities. We call it campaign planning. So we set up a number of campaigns we do per year, and then we inform and discuss it with the IMC, with our members. And maybe we can improve it. Maybe we find synergies. Maybe we can help the member institutes to win new members because we have a global campaign running, like promoting the Consultants Day, for example. And then everybody is winning. It's a win-win-win situation. And that is the third pillar, what we call representation. And as I said, it's still work in progress. It's not everything ready yet, and we don't have all the implementation plannings done now. but this is the way that we prepared our discussion for the face-to-face meeting. So these 3 pillars: ethics and standard, knowledge development and sharing, and representation. Is there anything we should discuss about this right side of the screen, that one? Or did we cover everything from your side? If not, let me move over to the left side of the screen. And that is what we call the operation. One is the strategy, and the other one, maybe we should call it implementation, not strategy or not operation. Maybe it's better implementation, but that is the concrete life of our executive director and Hussein. We have been talking about the hub meetings, and I don't think it's necessary to announce the hub meeting of Asia Pacific. It's on May 10th for those who are attending and don't know yet, but I think everybody who is on the screen knows the date. Is it correct?
Hub meeting on the 14th of June.
On the 14th of June, while the 10th is just a meeting for the hub.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, that I was trying to figure out if you are still on the same page and if you're listening to me.
Yes.
Yeah,
we are listening to you.
Well done.
Yeah. So, Robert,
sorry for that. Okay.
Asia Pacific Hub meeting is on the 14th of June. The 10th of May is only between all the IMC in Asia Pacific. And we really like you to grace the occasion as the chair of ICMCI, please.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have America's Hub here on May 5th.
May 5th, correct.
Okay. And Euro Hub is still planning in progress. We have a new chair. It's Cesara,
Tentative, but until we finalize, Cesara and myself, we will announce.
Okay.
Most probably it's going to also be in June.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the African Hub, after I get the dates for all the other 3, I will talk to all the African countries and we will set a date, which would most probably also be in June for the African Hub.
Yeah.
So for sure, Robert, 14th of June, you have to be present.
Yes, I will. Let me check my diary. If it's correct in my diary, I will check later.
Yeah, 14th of June.
No, but it's, yeah. We have started, well, we have been discussing about an e-business solution for the last couple of years. I don't know for how many years we discussed about that. And we're doing so many activities, and the whole administration for an organization like ICMCI with so many activities and member issues and so on and so forth, it's getting, it's a lot of work and it's gaining a lot of resources. And therefore, mainly Rima was looking for a solution that is supporting us in that way. And finally, she found a solution that is called Soho. Maybe some of you might know that. That is flexible enough and mighty enough to cover everything that is done in ICMCI. And actually, we should be a much more digitalized organization than we are by now. Every registration is, I don't know if we ever calculated how much time do we need to register one person for an event. It's we need to check and double check, are these members or not, if necessary, and we want to make that automated as far as possible. That will change a lot in ICMCI. This is why I'm mentioning that. It will give us new opportunities. It will give us new ways how to communicate with stakeholders, members or other stakeholders. It has the whole workflow for doing almost everything in an organization like ICMCI. At one day, that is what I'm dreaming of, but it will take some time. One day we might even charge money and make revenue with this tool. That's a very complex situation because of the banking situation with different, we are a Swiss-based organization, but the administration is in Jordan, and everything needs to be, everything what I mentioned has an impact on making revenue, and it is a tax issue, because for now we are a Swiss verein that doesn't make revenues, and so therefore we don't need to pay tax. But if we make revenues, we need to think about that. So it has big consequences if we start thinking about that. But this is why we need to start at some time. Maybe you and I, we will learn that from next generations, but I hope it will be in operation sooner. And the examples I brought up many times is registration for a training, an online training for the ISO training. Register here, click, swipe your credit card, and at the end of a training, you get the confirmation of attendance automatically. That is how it should be working, and we will achieve that at some time. But it takes time. It takes time. We need to be very careful, and we do have our operation is working excellent. So if we start changing it, there's always a high risk that some things do not work as we are used to. And we have started to implement the software, and the first day was already the first question, how to deal with an organization that is based in Switzerland and that is a different license model. It's and so on and so forth. But I want to mention it because it will have impact on ICMCI. We're getting to a new level of professionalism, and we will have new chances, new opportunities. We might do things that we haven't been able to do in the past. And that's why I think you should know about that. Rima, did I put too much pressure on you?
No, you said it will take time. So
okay,
that's the good part.
I am just wondering whether it will be dependent on the country. I'm not familiar with the tax regulation in Switzerland. I give you an example for Singapore. In Singapore, we are registered as a non-profit organization, but we do generate revenue so that we can do a lot of other things, and we are taxed by the Singapore government. Although we are a non-profit organization, we are taxed. All right. So I don't know about Switzerland. Maybe you have to explore.
Same thing, Lydia. We have our tax advisor.
Yeah.
And what we do is we send her the information every quarter, and they apply for our tax, whether it is for money that mostly it's for money that we paid. It's not for money that we brought in as income. The income part is done once a year at the end of the year. At times, if we exceed a certain revenue figure, we end up paying VAT. If not, then nothing is paid. And we already do that. And we have our tax expert who's part of, or let's say, who works with our lawyer in Switzerland in order to make sure that we cover the VAT part. Okay?
Okay. I just mentioned because it could be different for country to country.
It is definitely. And
yeah.
It might have a lot of impact, and we need to know about that. But on the other side, there are many organizations that are doing that, and some of them are even much smaller than we are. So why shouldn't we be able to do it, and why shouldn't we be able to achieve what we want to have? So, but you're right. And that's why I mentioned it's not so easy. And that's at the long-term vision. I do know that, and we do have many things that should be done before that. And so we can grow step by step and learn about the software and learn about the features, learn about how to change the organization. And we don't need to put too much pressure on the existing operation, and therefore it's we will do it step by step. But you might see some results quite soon, like when you first get automated emails out of the system, which might be coming a little bit sooner with regards to having your next assessment, for example, or whatever. Let's see. We started two review process. One is the governance review and the other one is the stakeholder review. That is also with regards to ensure that our organization is ready for our strategy. And if there is anything that we need to discuss, maybe we need some things to change. One is the governance review that is covering all the structure and all the committees and task forces within ICMCI. Are they organized in a manner that is suitable for their task? How can we deal with new chairs, or with the liaison structure between the board and the chairs of the committees? How are the hubs organized? Is there anything we should discuss about the hub structure? We do have some things that we have to keep in mind, like for the QAC, that QAC is the assessment body for the 17 or 24 conformity assessment and so on. So that is done in this governance review process, and there is no better expert than we have as a chair. It's Dwight, and Christine is in this committee, and Shin Liat, and Kim, of course. So it's a real expert task force. I think it's formally it's a task force, and we will have the report in our meeting, and then we will discuss it and present it to the in the annual meeting. If there is anything to present, maybe the presentation is to just leave it unchanged. That might be an outcome, or maybe not. And the other review process is about the stakeholders. Stakeholders review is how are we dealing with other stakeholders in the consulting community? How are we dealing? Are we set up in a way that we can that is compliant to our strategy with regards to these three pillars? Is there anything that we need to discuss? Because that is looking a little bit more outside. Governance review is looking inside, and stakeholders review is looking outside of ICMCI. And yeah, same to them. And we will hopefully have a result in our board meeting, and then see how to deal with that. That also might have some impact on our bylaws, and yeah, let's see what's coming out from that perspective. So that's about the review, and I don't think there's more to discuss about, and some of you are on this task force, so let's move over to another issue. That is, I wanted to mention the International Consultants Day. We need to go back. Oops. Sorry. What did I do?
Yeah, it's
nothing. We see, before you came back here, we were seeing the announcement for the International Consultants Day. Is that what you wanted us to look at? Yes.
Yeah, fine.
Switch again.
Yeah. Here we go. International Consultants Day.
Yeah.
The International Consultants will be held on June 2nd. It's always the first Thursday in June. You're all familiar with that. I don't need to explain what's the International Consulting. That's an event that is addressing not only our member institute, but also the global consulting community. It's not only about us, but of course, we should be attending and we should be there, but we also want to get in touch with other stakeholders of the community. we will have a very it's a new format with regards how we meet. We meet in our board meeting, and then we make a breakout to the International Consultants Day, and then we can broadcast for in a way to the International Consultants Day. So it will be held virtually. We were discussing, I don't know how many years now, to have a guest speaker from UNIDO, because I think UNIDO is an international stakeholder for the consulting industry, and we should get in touch with them and exchange experience, share experience, and see how to partner. And finally, thank you, Rima, very excellent job, because finally we were able to invite it's a manager or a person who is in charge, who is responsible for the agriculture division, and he's dealing with many consulting situations, and they do work together with consultants, service providers, and they want to improve these consulting services. So he's telling of what are the needs for an international organization like UNIDO, what could be formats, how to exchange experience, maybe set up trainings or whatever. And that's actually one of the tasks I was mentioning before, representation on a global level. It's the main topic of the International Consultants Day is how fit is the management consulting industry, and ICMCI especially, to compete and to deal with the future challenges of restarting the economy in times like that, and what can management consulting services add value, and how can they add value to the national economies. So that is, this part from the UNIDO is from the view of an international organization. The other part will be how ready are we as ICMCI, and we want to mention especially the new competence framework. As Nick mentioned before, this competence framework needs to be promoted, and I think, and I'm convinced that the competence framework is really fitting perfect to the needs and to the challenges of the future. And we will also have a presentation of the Future Leaders Forum and discussing about the future from young consultants' perspective. How will the consulting industry develop? And finally, and that's it's not the closing, but it's one of the other highlights, we will present the National Consulting Index. The National Consulting Index, we are able to have the National Consulting Index as it used to be. Last year we had a special Corona edition, and now we're getting the figures again that they are necessary to calculate the index. And I know that Simon is already working on that, and they started to calculate all the figures that are part of the National Consulting Index. And then finally, we have a report from another academic fellow on how the economy in oil countries does develop, and what management consulting services can contribute to these developments, and another future challenge of the industry. So you see, the whole event will take 2 hours. It's very comprehensive, but the main topic is dealing with the future. What are the future challenges, and what are we as ICMCI, but also we as the global economy, are we prepared well to deal with all these challenges? Did I forget something? Is there anything you want to add? No.
I just wanted you to cover the Konstantinos part, so that we also let everyone know that we're waiting for the letters of intent.
Yes.
Excuse
Okay.
me, I have a question, small questions.
Sure.
I don't hear what is the day, Constantinos Day. It's a first
June 2nd.
Ah, 2nd. Okay, thank you.
The invitation was sent out a couple of days ago.
That was sent out last week, and maybe we will send a reminder in a week's time. We will send another reminder, Oksana. But you can find it on the website as well.
Okay, and that brings me to another event that is in planning. We don't have a detailed planning on that too. It's the annual meeting and the conference. I think it's sometime in October between 13th and 15th. We are still thinking about how to organize it. Everything is so uncertain, so volatile. Can we have a hybrid meeting or not? What would be a good country to be in? Because we all know as soon as autumn is coming and it's getting colder, there is a high risk of having problems with the coronavirus again. So save the dates, please, but be a little bit patient. We will inform you as soon as possible, but it might be in June because then at a certain point we need to make decisions. We cannot postpone the decision until October. We need to do that a little bit earlier. That might be in June. So that's from my side. It's I hope I didn't forget anything. And as I said at the very beginning, it's not a full picture of every activities we do in ICMCI. It's just a mentioning of different thoughts and different activities, but it's not covering all our activities. So please don't misunderstand, because, for example, I mentioned CMC, but it's not in the brain map written. The CMC is still the most important thing. It is our core product, but we don't have new activities focusing on that I need to present to you and discuss it with you.
Just for everyone to note, I put in the link for the International Consultants Day announcement on the chat, so anyone can go and just look at that. It's on the front page of our website at the events. So the link is there, and it is on the first page on our website.
Thank you, Rima.
Yeah, I have already registered.
Good, let's all register. And by the way, Robert, even if we're all at the meeting, the face-to-face, we would need to register because we would need to connect from our different laptops. So board members should also register. And I already informed Mr. Badane that he should register. So everyone should register. Let's know how many people will be in attendance. And by the way, there's one thing that maybe I should mention, Robert, and it's the fact that the WKO are celebrating the day later on that date. And that's why we only have one session for the ICMCI, and we might stream the event of the WKO for everyone to also view. That is something that I'm still talking to Claudius and Philip about. And once we have the final conclusion, if yes, it will be streamed, then you would be sent the link and you would be informed about it. Because they will be celebrating the 30 years of the Austrian Constantinos Award. We would be celebrating the 10 years of the International Constantinos Award, as well as celebrating the International Consultants Day.
All celebrating.
So all celebration, exactly.
But
Okay.
by the way, the email was sent Kuzaima on the 21st of April for the International Consultant Day, 21st of April. Osana, maybe you can check 21st of April. The email is there.
and we will be sending another announcement, Lydia, in a week's time. So we will send more announcement, and we would like everyone to actually share with their members. Khuzaima just informed me that we already have 86 registrants, so the number is good already for that date.
Very good.
Okay. 87.
Okay, so it's the hour. Thank you for attending, and yeah, see you soon.
All right. Thank you, Robert. And nice
Thanks very much,
everyone.
Robert.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.